Ahead on Channel 8 News, what will be changing in the Aggieville Community Vision, and later, how the Flint Hills Discovery Center is navigating the pandemic. But first, a look at our forecast for today.
We're looking at a mostly cloudy day with a high in the low 50s, but as we look forward to our 24-hour forecast, we are expecting rain. I'll have all the details coming up on Channel 8 News.
This is KKSU-LD, broadcasting in high definition from Kansas State University, covering Manhattan, Riley County, and the Flint Hills. You're watching Channel 8 News.
Good morning, Kansas. Thanks for tuning in to Channel 8 News. I'm Dawson Wagner. Featured in today's show, we'll see how a decline in the city of Manhattan sales taxes could later alter city resources, and later, a peek at an unusual sports season for soccer and volleyball teams. In a recent announcement, the remains of one of the most decorated chaplains in the history of the U.S. has been accounted for. Reporter Jacob Hall went to Fort Riley to learn more about the story.
Army chaplain Captain Emil Capon of Pilsen, Kansas, served in the Army during World War II and the Korean War, where he was captured and passed away on May 23, 1951. Today, 70 years later, his remains have been accounted for.
The fact that we've been able to positively identify Chaplain Capon is just such a good news story because now we can have the closure of knowing that one of America's heroes will be successfully repatriated, buried at the place of the family's choosing.
In 2013, Capon was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously for his service by President Obama, which was accepted by his descendants.
For them, it's just the benefit of knowing they have a family member who the nation has determined is among the very best to have ever worn the uniform.
In 1993, Pope John Paul II declared Chaplain Capon as a servant of God, which is the first step towards canonization in the Catholic Church.
Servant of God is basically when they do a fairly preliminary investigation just to make sure there's nothing sort of egregious standing out that would disqualify this person at immediate glance from being named a saint.
For Colonel Forrester, he believes that Capon exemplified the motto of an Army chaplain.
The motto of the Army Chaplain Corps is Pro Deo e Patria, Latin for God and country. And if there is a person that we have many wonderful people who have lived this, but if there's somebody right now who embodied that, that's Chaplain Emil Capon. He gave his all for God and country, and the country, the Army, and the Chaplain Corps are much better for it.
At Fort Riley, Jacob Hall, Channel 8 News.
The Catholic Diocese of Wichita has produced a podcast titled The Foxhole that discusses the life of Father Capon. This can be found across several platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, and Stitcher. Construction can be inconvenient for anyone, especially for Manhattan locals navigating Bluemont Street in Aggieville. I took a drive to learn how it has changed over the past year and what we should expect to come next. In between 12th Street and Manhattan Avenue, Coco Bolo's sits in the shadow of a now nearly complete courtyard hotel by the Marriott, just one of the many construction projects happening under the Aggieville Community Vision that was adopted in 2017. Daniel Parson, manager of Coco Bolo's, had this to say about the ongoing construction.
With the construction, we have had to provide parking instructions for customers whenever we hand out silverware and stuff like that. And now we have to tell customers how to get here with the sidewalk being closed. We even have customers coming in angry with us, even though we can't control the parking situation.
Along with the changes surrounding Coco Bolo's and Bluemont Avenue, there will be 2 other parking garages located on the east and west end of Aggieville that would support the new businesses brought to the district because of the 3-story private development plan that will be built along Laramie. With all this construction, though, there has to be someone backing the bill. So who's really paying for the Aggieville renovations? I sat down with Jason Hilgers, Deputy City Manager, to find out more.
Part of the property taxes in Aggieville are being captured in what's called a tax increment finance district, a TIF district. So anything in value that grows from the base year of 2019 will be captured by the city and used by the city for infrastructure back within the district. So the parking garage that we're under construction now currently south of Raleigh House is primarily going to be financed by tax increment finance over the next 20 years. So we'll be able to capture the growth in Aggieville over the next 20 and utilize those funds to pay the debt service on the parking garage itself.
So for the next 20 years, through tax increment finance, the debts of the buildings like the parking garage south of Rally House will with time pay themselves. The Aggieville Community Vision is estimated to be finished by 2026. During the pandemic, local businesses struggled to make money, and the impacts of that trickled down to the city budget of our MHK all-day reporting team, and they took a look at why that's happening and ways to see how the city wants to address it.
About 40% of the City of Manhattan's budget relies on sales tax revenue. But with business down and fewer people going out, that means there are fewer dollars of sales tax going into the city budget. Assistant City Manager Dennis Marstall said the city saw a sales tax collection that is about 3 to 5% lower than in years past amid the pandemic. That translates to a budget decline of about $5 to $7 million.
Then really in the sales tax, when you look about all the retail, people curbed their dining habits, they curbed their traveling habits, and so a lot of that has taken the impact.
Some ground lost in the early days of the pandemic was made up so far in the fiscal year, but it's still falling short.
Our impression was we'd still be down a little bit this year. And right now we are seeing some better numbers just from the hotel occupancy rates, which means there are more people in town to be out at our stores, out at our restaurants. And so there's some encouraging signs that we've seen.
Mostly, the budget declines will affect internal operations like holding off on giving cost of living raises to city employees or delaying hiring for vacant positions. However, continued decline or lowered collection could impact some city services. Marstall says the city is going to do everything it can to ensure residents don't feel the effects.
There are just different ways that we're trying to make the balance and not have the public suffer from some of these financial setbacks, but yet provide at least the services we can.
In the meantime, areas with more flexible expenditures could see the biggest impact. For instance, parks and recreation services are easier to cut from as opposed to other key infrastructure because they're not a critical service.
So it's hard to cut and skip back on them. When you're doing our public works, we're talking about snow removal, we're talking about our pavement program, so it's hard to skip on them.
The city does expect to receive an estimated $14 million from the federal government from the recent stimulus package, but that won't address everything. Beyond COVID-19, the city of Manhattan has seen a decline in its collection of sales tax over the last few years, stemming from things like K-State's falling enrollment and other community factors.
We're very much at the whim now of our revenues being dictated by some of these outside forces.
Marstall says to fully resolve the problems facing the budget, Manhattan needs to lessen its dependence on sales tax revenues that are prone to fluctuate even under normal circumstances.
So our effort's two-pronged. We want to do more economic development, but we also want to help support and do the infrastructure for K-State to grow, from Fort Riley to have more soldiers here as well.
Right now, Marstall says conversations about solving the problem at hand focus on investing in local infrastructure that will attract new residents and keep longtime residents in the city. From Manhattan, Kaylee McLaughlin for MHK All Day.
On November 4th, 2020, a sales tax initiative was passed. The tax was introduced as part of a pandemic recovery initiative. 40% of the city of Manhattan's budget relies on sales tax revenue, and with businesses not bringing in as much revenue, it not only has impacted those businesses, but the city as well. The initiative includes a 0.05% tax increase for the city of Manhattan that goes into effect on January 1st, 2023, and will be in effect for 10 years. There has been mixed opinions from people in the community. Deb Nuss is one who is opposed to the increase.
Increased sales tax while trying to keep property taxes low really disadvantages low-income people in our community. And that for me is troubling when we have a poverty rate as high as we do.
After the break, what precautions the Flint Hills Discovery Center has in place to keep guests safe. Then, one Channel 8 reporter reflects on the start of the COVID-19 pandemic.
a purple front has kind of moved into the stadium. Beautiful day and music's loud. The fans are on their feet.
Willman crushes it to left. And K-State leads 8-1. The 1-2, a swing and a miss. Streams it to center. Long run for Mertz. He can't get there. K-State has added 5 here this 6th inning. K-State will run the option. Here's Skylar Thompson. He walks it in. Walks it in. Antonio Gordon. Here's the shot and it's got it. And it is Kansas State, courtesy of Brent Carlson. Side of the box, crossing, wide open, the shot. Thompson right away. That ball is gone. She gets the ball back, goes up strong, scores, and one.
Upon arrival, I'm like, oh, these people love football. Like, these people are nuts about Kansas State. And Saturday morning, I mean, swarms of people outside of the stadium tailgate. We come in, it's about 45 minutes before game time. The stadium's packed. And I'm like, this is the atmosphere. Whenever I dream of playing college football, this is exactly what I see. The chants, the music, everything. And just throughout the entire game, I mean, it was just a place I knew I had to be.
The Flint Hills Discovery Center in Manhattan, Kansas has made changes due to the COVID-19 pandemic so people can still visit the attraction, but in a safe manner. Reporter Madeline Emerson has more.
A local museum known as the Flint Hills Discovery Center has made several changes throughout their building due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We do require that all guests wear face masks. We've started enhanced cleaning procedures, and we have volunteers and staff going throughout the building constantly wiping down what we call the touch points.
Some exhibits have been closed because they are difficult to clean and aren't sanitary enough for the younger visitors.
We have had to close some exhibits that we just aren't able to clean properly, particularly in the children's playscape. Probably the most crushing for many of our young visitors is that our tunnel and slide are not open yet. We have high hopes that that will be opening though this summer.
The Flint Hills Discovery Center was closed for 2 months at the beginning of the pandemic, but now visiting numbers are on the rise. And Jonathan wants you to know that the Discovery Center is open for people of all ages.
We get calls regularly saying, are you open and what are your hours? People are unaware still that we are open to the public. We're here and come on in and say hello.
With travel plans being canceled because of the pandemic, families like Shyla Sturgeons try finding local places to have some fun.
We have family that lives in town that just looked like a really fun place to bring the kids to get out of the house and burn off some energy.
The Discovery Center wants to be a place for people to get out and have some educational fun while still creating a safe environment for visitors.
We've been cooped up in our houses for a year. Even if you were able to get out, there's still just so many limitations. The main thing is we just want to give everyone a safe place where they feel comfortable and to be available for the community.
The Flint Hills Discovery Center has events and exhibits to look out for in the near future. In Manhattan, Madeline Emerson, Channel 8 News.
The Flint Hills Discovery Center is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 o'clock until 5 o'clock and Sunday from noon to 5. It was on March 11, 2020 that the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Ever since then, our daily lives have been altered. Reporter Bailey Matthews took a look back at the past year.
It was in March 2020 when the whole world seemed to change in an instant. COVID-19 hit and our lives were turned upside down. As we take a look at 2020, we can see how tough of a year it was for everyone.
Alongside the toilet paper shortage, many people, including myself, would come home during the pandemic from the grocery store and disinfect everything they got before they put it in their pantry or their refrigerator.
Many people rushed to their local grocery store to stock up on supplies. This led to a shortage of toilet paper and at one point, mask and hand sanitizer too. Parks around the nation were closed where children once enjoyed to play. As if COVID wasn't enough, the death of George Floyd happened in May, which started a large push in the BLM movement. By the end of May, the COVID-19 death rate surpassed 100,000 deaths. ICUs were full and students were all online through Zoom. 2020 also fell victim to wildfires and hurricanes. All of this happened during an election year, which led to many mail-in ballots. But since the busy year the U.S. and the rest of the world has had, a vaccine has been approved. So now we can begin to see a light at the end of this dark tunnel as people roll up their sleeves to get vaccinated. In Manhattan, I'm Bailey Matthews, Channel 8 News.
Since the pandemic started, the state of Kansas has had a total of 303,000 cases and over 4,800 deaths due to COVID. In the last 2 weeks, Riley County has reported 40 total cases. Higher temperatures are expected this weekend. Jacob will give us the full weather forecast up next, as well as an opportunity to get rid of your yard waste at no cost.
Kind of always really been interested in interior design since I was little. And it's an art, it's like a creative outlet, but there's also this problem-solving aspect to it as well. So it's just like a puzzle, and there's also not really a right or wrong answer to it. I love it though. The best part about design is you get so caught up in it, and you just get your flow going. You just get kind of lost in it. Oh, I love it.
Please direct your attention to the pride of Wildcat Land, the Kansas State University Marching Band.
A great environment it is here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium.
It's time for the Wabash Cannonball.
This crowd, this is energetic. This is perfect.
This atmosphere, it's just different.
The one, the only, the pride of Wildcat Land, the Kansas State University Marching Band.
What the radio station has done for me, it has allowed me to use my public speaking capabilities and provide it into a entertaining way. I would say the fact that most of the classes I've taken have not just been fluff, like they feel like they've actually prepared me for the world. If all things go well, working there might have gotten me a job.
Dribble, and it is go time!
The City of Manhattan's spring cleanup will begin Monday, March 29th and run until Friday, April 2nd. In this annual effort, the City of Manhattan and local contractors allow residents to clean up their properties and haul away items, such as grass clippings, leaves, and branches, at no cost. The yard waste must be bagged in yard waste paper bags. And for Manhattan resident Nick Drake, it's a convenient way to keep the city clean.
I think it's a great idea. A lot of times, especially this time of year with like so much rain and like storms going on, like there can just be a lot of clutter around town. So I think it'll be a good way to clean everything up, make the neighborhood look a little bit nicer.
We'll now go to Jacob Hall to see what the weather will look like in surrounding areas and what to expect in this weekend's forecast. Jacob?
Thanks, Dawson. As we get into our national forecast here up in the Northeast near New York, we have 68 degrees, and that actually increases down as we go down the East Coast to Florida and Georgia. We have mid to high 70s. And then coming across the map here in Kansas, we have low 50s, and then down in Texas, low 80s, and out in California, we have low 60s. Now into our Kansas map. We have in the southeast portion of the state near Wilson and Neosho counties, we have low 50s, and then going up north near Jefferson County, we have high 40s. And then coming across the state near the southwest portion of the state near Morton and Stevens counties, we have mid to high 50s. And now, as we get into our 24-hour forecast, this evening, we're expecting cloudiness with a high of 50 degrees. And then in the early hours of Friday morning, we are expecting high 30s. And then into Friday afternoon, we're expecting some hazy sunshine with a high of 50. And all of that with east-northeast winds and humidity of 60%. And as we get into our 5-day forecast, we have today, which is 51 degrees and cloudy. And then Friday, we are expecting some rain. But as we go into the Saturday and Sunday, we're expecting some nice weather, high of 63 on Saturday, high of 69 on Sunday, with both lows in the 30s. So kind kind of chilly in the morning, but it will turn out to be nice days where you can go out with the family and just have all sorts of fun activities. And that trend actually continues into Monday, where we start out the new week with a nice temperature. And that will be it for weather this week. Back to you at the desk, Dawson.
Thanks, Jacob. Coming up in sports, one high school coach decides to step down after 37 years of coaching. And the K-State men's basketball team has seen plenty of changes, plus how K-State soccer and volleyball have adjusted to a unique schedule.
Kind of always really been interested in interior design since I was little. And it's an art, it's like a creative outlet, but there's also this problem-solving aspect to it as well. So it's just like a puzzle. And there's also not really a right or wrong answer to it. I love it though. The best part about design is you get so caught up in it and you just get your flow going. You just get kind of lost in it. Oh, I love it.
Please direct your attention to the pride of Wildcat Land, the Kansas State University Marching Band.
A great environment it is here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium.
It's time for the Wabash Cannonball.
This crowd, this is energetic. This is perfect.
This atmosphere, it's just different.
The one, the only, the pride of Wildcat Land, the Kansas State University Marching Band.
What the radio station has done for me, it has allowed me to use my public speaking capabilities and provide it into a entertaining way. I would say the fact that most of the classes I've taken have not just been fluff, like they feel like they've actually prepared me for the world. If all things go well, working there might have gotten me a job.
Dribble, and it is go time!
Welcome back. Sports reporter Cameron Bradley took a look into how a couple of K-State teams have had to adapt during this spring season. Cameron?
Thanks, Dawson. Kansas State Athletic Director Gene Taylor, who led the department through COVID-19, has a new contract extension, almost doubling his salary and keeping him under contract until 2027. The COVID-19 impact on sports continues to affect Kansas State athletics, though, into the spring seasons, as teams that typically play their full season in the fall are now playing crucial matches in the spring that count towards their overall record.
In the fall, the NCAA made the decision to move all fall sport national championships except for football to the spring. Individual conferences could then determine whether or not they would compete in the fall. The Big 12 was one of the conferences to allow conference-only competition in volleyball and soccer, while moving non-conference play to the spring.
I was a little concerned, didn't know which way to approach it. You know, we have a lot of returning core players. We have a lot of transfers and incoming players that came in that semester, but how quickly can we try to catch those players up to what we've been doing?
For both teams, typically the spring is a time to refocus and develop in preparation for the fall. But with these teams competing in matches that will count against their record, the focus of the spring season has shifted.
The opportunities sometimes in the spring has been much different. You're doing a lot of technique development, you're doing a lot of individual improvement, and we really aren't going to get that opportunity to do that because we're trying to prepare the team for competition.
Due to the changes, the soccer team scheduled 6 matches for the spring, including 2 right here at Boozer Family Park. While volleyball scheduled 7 matches for the spring, including 4 matches right here at Bramlage Coliseum.
For the athletes, though, these non-conference matches are business as usual.
I think we had momentum coming in from the end of our last season, and knowing that they're countable and that we want to be competitive was an easy transition for the girls.
The Kansas State men's basketball team finished their 2020-2021 campaign 2 weeks ago on a high note in the Big 12 tournament, making it to the second round. Since then, though, 4 players have entered the transfer portal, including 3 that had significant roles in the team this year. sophomore forward Antonio Gordon, sophomore guard Dejuan Gordon, and junior guard Rudy Williams. Redshirt sophomore Joe Petrakis, who had just recently earned a scholarship in January, is the most recent to leave the team. There has been some good news for the Wildcats, though, as senior guard Mike McGurl announced this week that he would be returning next season. After 37 years with the Riley County High School football team, renowned head coach Steve Wagner announced his retirement following the 2020 season. Amassing 259 victories and leading the Falcons to 3 state championship appearances, Wagner is the 10th winningest head coach in Kansas high school football history. Now the Falcons have found their new head coach, Eric Woolman, an assistant coach for Riley County under Wagner for the past 10 years and a former head coach at Moscow High School in southwest Kansas. Also a co-athletic director with the Falcons, Woolman will have some big shoes to fill heading into the 2021 season.
It's still sinking in. And again, you don't replace a Steve Wagner. It's impossible. You don't replace legends. And I'm not looking to replace him. I'm looking to continue what he's done and add on and build moving forward.
That's all for sports. Back to you, Dawson.
Light jackets and sunglasses are appropriate for what appears to be a sunny weekend. Jacob will have the weekend forecast when we come back.
I always knew I enjoyed working with kids, and that was something I was passionate about, and I originally planned to become a teacher. I realized I was more passionate about the kids and their upbringing and their development, and I found that K-State actually offered a program that worked perfectly with my interests, and so I decided that school counseling was kind of the right path for me, just so that I could focus more on that psychology aspect and work with the kids on a more intimate level.
What the radio station has done for me, it has allowed me to use my public speaking capabilities and provide it into a entertaining way. I would say the fact that most of the classes I've taken have not just been fluff, like they feel like they've actually prepared me for the world. If all things go well, working there might have gotten me a job.
So within industrial engineering, you can actually start your master's degree a year early and start taking those classes your senior year. And then after you go through those upper level courses, you only really have a year left and you would come out with your bachelor's and master's degree, which is something I have been considering just because, it's one extra year and I do love K-State. So it's like, win-win. But that's a perk with being an industrial engineer. You're able to get your master's degree in just one extra year.
Now we'll go to Jacob for some final words for this weekend's forecast. Jacob?
Thanks, Dawson. So in our weekend forecast tomorrow, we have 67 degrees and some rain that we're expecting. And Saturday and Sunday are both really nice days for you to go outside with the family and then just enjoy some nice weather. That's it for weather. Back to you, Dawson.
Thanks, Jacob. Stay tuned next week for a water tower story that will do more than wash you away. And remember to take some time for yourself, help somebody else, and we hope to see you right back here for more on Channel 8 News.
This is Channel 8 News.